Right. Hi, friends. It looks like we're live, but always got that delay. So I'm just waiting for everything to show up. It looks like my both my laptop and my phone went up at the same exact time. So neither one. It's a tie. All right. I see a few of you have already joined us in the comments. We're happy that you're here. Of course, we are going to give a few minutes before we get going so that people can filter in, find today's live, and hopefully hang out with us and get crafty. Hi, friends. So happy you all are finding us. All right. And there is Heather. All right. So Heather is in the comments. She's the person moderating behind Pinkfresh Studio name. So the gang's all here. And we are happy you guys are joining us today. All right, so Kathy, my air conditioner is actually not working. I have a fan behind me that is on like full blast. So fun fact, if you don't follow me on Instagram or you don't check my Instagram posts out, our entire HVAC unit went out this weekend and it is 90 degrees outside currently, where it was all weekend. It was 90 degrees in Minneapolis. We dropped a little bit into the high 80s today, and then we will go back to thankfully fall temperatures tomorrow. So got a fan blasting full blast on me. I hope it's not translating into the audio, but if it is, we are just going to have to deal with it today, because if not, I get overheated really easy and I don't know that I would be able to finish today's lives. So we'll find out on Thursday if we can get it fixed. If not, we're going to end up replacing it. But we kind of knew that going into it. This thing has lasted us a long time. It was already past its date when we bought this home. So it is what it is. All right. Hi, friends. Let's see here. Okay. So fun stuff. We had our ink release went live on Friday, and wow, we are so grateful and thankful for the overwhelming response to it. So we're very excited that you guys love the new ink so much, and the new ink cube holders, of course. So thank you. Like, that's kind of really the only thing we can say is thank you so much for your response to it. We have been making sure to be transparent in any emails we send. And then also, we did post on both Facebook and Instagram yesterday afternoon that we have gotten more orders than we anticipated. So please be patient with us as we ship orders out. We mentioned 7 to 14 days before you'll likely get a shipping notification. And just to be upfront, it is likely going to take us about 3 weeks to truly catch up with everything. So we know you're excited about the inks, but if you could just continue to have a little bit of patience and grace for us as we get through this very large volume of orders, we would definitely really appreciate it. Okay, so before we get going, a couple things that we always go over in our lives before we flip around and get creating is first and foremost, we give away a $15 gift card code at the end of the live. So the way to gain an entry into that is just by currently doing what you're doing. Chat with us in the live chat. Every comment, question, etc. is entry into the giveaway. Another way to get an entry is underneath this video somewhere. There's a little button and it has an arrow and it says share. If you will hit that share button and you share it somewhere, it's kind of up to you where you share it. You can share it on your personal Facebook page. You could share it into your Instagram stories. You could share it in a personal message or email that you might have with crafty friends. Finally, if there's a crafting group on Facebook that you frequent and you know that they allow live stream shares, then feel free to share it there. But some crafty groups don't like it and it's against their rules. So make sure that you know the rules of that group. Come back here in the comments, let us know you shared, and that's just an extra entry. Now, finally, this isn't an extra entry by any means, but one thing that's really helpful to us is if you could give this video a thumbs up. That helps the reach of the video both now and upon replay, in hopes that we can find people out there that maybe aren't aware of Pinkfresh Studio yet, or people that are new to crafting. So, I think that's everything. We've got a pretty big set of stencils to use today, so we should probably get this camera flipped around and get going. So let's go ahead and do that. Bear with me while I make the transition here. All right. We've got that switch made. I'm just waiting for it to catch up here. So today we are going to use our Blooming Peony cling stamp and the coordinating stencils. This is a 7-piece stencil, but I think I'm going to end up only using 6 of them. And you'll see when I make that change, when I make that decision as we go along. So today I'm actually going to be using the new colors, but I'm going to be mixing and matching them with our original colors as well. I think that's going to be fun to see how that all works together. So let's go ahead and get going on this. Since this is a cling stamp, we do have to set up our stamping platform. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the mouse pad. But because I am a pretty light stamper, I always throw a thinner pad of those misty papers into it to act as a shim. That just helps me get a little bit better stamping impression since I am such a light stamper. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the cling stamp. Just going to place it right in the middle. This gives me room to work, makes it so that I'll be able to align this back into my misty after we cleanse, so I can restamp it again and get that nice crisp impression. So really important when you're doing that technique with a cling stamp, you really have to make sure that you have everything aligned to one corner, because you can't see the alignment with a cling stamp. So it is really important that you have everything aligned to a corner so that when you put it back in to restamp, everything will be in its place. I saw, it looks like Mimi Cakes is a newbie here, and welcome. I forgot to mention that in the beginning. Welcome to anybody that is new. I'm not going to see as many comments now that I've started creating, but we're happy you're here and we're happy that you found us. And we hope that you enjoy what you see and you'll stick around and join us each week. All right, so I'm sure you haven't missed much. I'm just getting going on the stamping here, so you're basically right on time. All right, so I am stamping this in really light gray. I'm probably going to stamp it twice so that you guys will be able to see it a little bit better. But just going for that nice light impression. Obviously, there it is. You can just barely see it. So I am going to stamp it one more time for the sake of video and hopes you'll be able to see it a little bit better. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. Hopefully this will stamp just a little bit darker. Yeah, that's a lot better. I think that's a little bit easier to see. Now, I am going to leave the stamping here because I want to be able to bring this back to my stamping platform and restamp it. So there is that. Oh, got a little stray hair on there. Pardon that. And I'm going to grab my ink stamps. And then we will get going with the stencils. So as I mentioned, this is a 7-piece stencil set. I do want to mention that I am actually starting at stencil number 2. This stencil back here is technically stencil number 1, and it is the background. As I mentioned, I actually may end up skipping this stencil because I'm wanting a little bit of a lighter card with some white space. So I may end up just completely skipping stencil 1. I haven't fully made that decision yet. So we're just going to move up to stencil 2, and that is where we are going to start today. So let me get my desk all prepped and ready here. So this card I'm making today is going to have a little bit more of a note card feel to it. It's going to be a bit simpler in general, but I think it's going to turn out really fun when all is said and done. I wanted to focus more on combining new and old inks. So going with a bit more simple card design today. So if you are new to our stencils at all, you'll know that they're numbered. You'll see that they're numbered in the upper left corner. Now this is etched. There's no way for us to make that colored, but we have heard of crafting friends rubbing, whether it's black ink or nail polish or paint of some sort in there to make it easier to see. I just find a glare. And then you'll also notice that we have these little alignment guides in each corner. Now those alignment guides are there for if you're using the stencils alone. When you're using them with a stamped image, stamped, heat embossed, or foiled, any of the sort, you will actually just take the stencil and align the stencil openings to the image itself. So you just forgo those alignment guides and use the stamped image. So for stencil number 2, technically, we are going to use our tried and true Ballet slipper. And you're going to see how lovely this very light Ballet slipper mixes with our new sets of pinks. So Ballet slipper is a very, very light pink. I don't even feel the need to blot it off on my glass mat before blending. I just take it directly to the paper and start blending. I won't do that with the other colors, but Ballet slipper is just such a light color. And honestly, I probably need to refill these. I keep talking about how I need to give my ink pads a spa day, and then I forget about it. So Ballet slipper is also probably in dire need of a refill as well. Hi, friends. Thanks to everyone that's already joining us. I am pretty much just getting started. I've stamped the image and we are just starting the ink blending with stencil number 2, technically, because I think I'm going to leave stencil number 1 off, but I have not fully made that decision. So no worries if you're joining in a little bit late, totally fine. And then don't forget that, of course, the replay will be available once I end the live stream. So that you can watch it from the beginning if you. All right. So starting out, just getting this Ballet slipper in here. Something that I have found is really exciting about these new ink colors is I know for my release cards, I kind of grabbed a bit of our older products. And I really feel like having these new colors is breathing new life into the products that I've had for a while. And I just think that it's been a really fun process. So there we have the start of our peony and just that really nice light shade of Ballet slipper. So next we are moving on to stencil number 3. So stencil number 3 is the start of other flowers and then the middle. So let's just get this guy lined up real quick. I'm just lining those stencil openings up to the stamped image. Now I am going to start by ink blending this middle with Marigold first, because then I'm going to do kind of a dual purple tone on the other flowers. So let me find the correct brush here. So we're going to grab Marigold. This is part of our original 48 colors as well. I just really like Marigold flower centers. So that's what we're going to go with for that larger peony. And that was all the marigold we needed. It was a pretty quick process here. Oh, yep. And I should have mentioned that. Thank you, Heather, for mentioning that and answering a question. Everything I'm using today is listed or is linked in the video description. So you will be able to find it there. Cool. So for my dual tone flowers, I am going to use lavender from our first set, our original set of purples. And I'm also going to use hydrangea, which is from our new set of purples called Napa Valley. I think that these are going to make a really lovely multi-toned flower together. So let me grab the purple brushes real quick. Let me make sure I don't need to buff out any ink. I think we're probably good on that. Well, it's not a makeup video. I would be terrible at that, friends. I am not good at makeup. I'm not a big makeup person. So definitely not a makeup video. Okay, so no rhyme or reason to this. I am just going to make these flowers two-toned. So I'll do part of the flower in lavender, find some areas where I want that to go. And then once I'm finished with the lavender, I'll move over to hydrangea and we will finish blending them. So there's not a science to this. It's just putting color in where you feel like it should go. And this could always be done in different colors. If you don't like purple, totally up to you on that. All right. So like I mentioned, we're starting with that lavender. And then I am going to wipe this down a little bit and we will move on over to the hydrangea. Okay. Just buff this clean a little bit. Yeah, right. Though this would definitely be some real purple, like 80s level purple if this is going on faces. All right, so switching over to hydrangea, I think we should be good on the brush. And we're just going to finish blending in the hydrangea. And look at how pretty that is. So as we've mentioned, our initial set of purples, Soul of Province, has a more pink undertone, which I think you can see here. Our new set of purples, the Napa Valley, they have a more blue and kind of somewhat grayish undertone to them. So they're totally different purples than our previous set. But look at how lovely those look together. They kind of remind me of, funny enough, hydrangeas, where you can get that beautiful dual tone color, especially as the blooms get a little bit older and they age and they've been in the sun and stuff. So I just think that these two colors look lovely together. Now, do I think they would blend one on top of the other very well? Maybe not. I always try and see, but I think they complement each other well. So I think for an instant like this, where you're wanting a dual tone, they do work really beautifully together. Okay. All right, I am feeling pretty good about that blend there, friends. So put these away. I'm going to do a little cleanup on my stencil. Now I am just using a dry cloth to buff off excess ink off of my stencil currently. Look at how fun that turned out. Oh my goodness. Anyway, after the live is over, I will spray each one down with a few spritzes of isopropyl alcohol and I'll buff them clean and get all of any leftover residue that's there. I'll get that buffed off and cleaned. We've got a lot of stencils to go through, so I'm not going to do that currently. But that's a great way to clean them if you want them to dry instantly and be able to either use them right away again or be able to put them away. All right, so we are on to stencil number 4. This one is going to be our new lightest pink, which is Cherry Blossom. Search me. And we are going to see how well Cherry Blossom plays with Ballet Sticker. You know, Christine, I'm actually not the biggest fan of purple either. I am big fan of our purples. I feel like we've done a good job of creating purples that are a little bit different than what's out there. And I do think they're really beautiful. So I am pretty thrilled with how our purples turned out. All right. So starting in with the cherry blossom. So cherry blossom, while it is the lightest in our new shade of pinks, it's a bit deeper than Ballet Slipper is. Ink Pad also is a bit juicier, certainly. So keep that in mind as you see that I'm ink blending, and it's quite a bit deeper than that Ballet Slipper. Okay. But I think once we see the reveal here, we are going to see how lovely they play together. Okay, feeling pretty good about that. Trying to bend a little deeper in the middle and then soften it out towards the edges. All right, I think that is pretty good. Oh, thanks, Audrey. I thought that this would be a fun thing to do. We've been showcasing the inks on their own, ever since releasing, but I thought showing how they, mix and match together would be really fun today. And look at how stunning those look together. Oh man, I am digging that. Those look so good together. That might be a favorite. Ballet Slipper and Cherry Blossom together. Wow. Here's what I'm going to tell you guys, friends. I did not practice any of this. So I made a guess that they might work together okay, but it was a pretty big guess. And so I am kind of just flying here, hoping that it does work out. And if it doesn't, it's a learning experience and I'll know not to mix those inks together again, but I thought they would. And so far I am very pleasantly surprised and happy. Okay, so for this guy, we've got the final shade of pink for our peony, our bigger peony here, which I am going to use peony. And then we've got the middles of these other flowers, which I'm going to go ahead and use Opulence, which is the deepest shade of our new purples. So let's start with peony. I am going to use my small brushes, so I shouldn't need to do any masking on these, but I may need to clean this brush because I think the last color I used on this was Mulberry Blush. So I don't really want Mulberry Blush to get into my peony. I'm going to just take my isopropyl alcohol here. I'm going to put a few spritzes on my cloth, and I am just going to give this a good little wash and get any of that excess darker ink out of this brush that might be in there. Okay, I feel like we are pretty good on that, and it's already dry. So we are good to start ink blending with it again. So that's just a fun little, easy little tip for if you do need to clean your brushes in between colors. You can do it that way. We haven't found that the alcohol hurts the brushes in any way. We wouldn't oversaturate them, but just, rubbing them in some alcohol on a brush doesn't seem to do anything to it. And then you can use a different color on that brush and not mix any contamination. Okay. Right. Just getting the details of that larger peony all blended in here. Once again, I'm using peony, the new color in our new pinks. Thanks, guys. I'm glad you liked my guesses on the colors. I'd hoped that they would work together. I'm still a little concerned about the greens I picked. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. If anything, I think they will be okay, but that might be a learning experience. But I wanted to test it out. So I'm just testing it out live with you guys. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to swap these, grab our Opulence here, and grab the correct Pinkfresh for Opulence. And Opulence is real dark, and this ink pad is extremely saturated. So I only need a little bit to get in there. And it's pretty much going to cover up the whole middle thing. There's not much that you can do about gradients on these little tiny guys. So it's just more about getting some ink in there. All right. In the end, I'm probably going to put jewels in those little middles. So it may be a moot point, but we're going to do them just in case I don't. Oh, love to hear that, Deborah. We know everyone is so excited about getting their inks, and we do thank you for your patience as we work through all of the orders. Soon enough, you're going to have all of these new inks, and they are going to be worth hours upon hours of crafting entertainment. So we are excited to see what you guys all start doing with your new inks once they start arriving as well. Okay. So there is the finished look of our flowers, and look at how lovely those turned out. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to move on to the greens, and these are where I'm not completely sure how the colors I picked are going to look together, but we're going to see. So I'm going with Eucalyptus for the lighter shade from our new set of greens called Green Gables. And then I picked Olive, which is one of our darker shades of green from our original 48 from the Over the Hills green collection. So just getting the stencil lined up with the first set of Greenery here. And I feel like I might have gotten it a little off over here. So let's readjust that. There we go. I think that's better. Yeah, that's much better. All right, so we're going to start this layer with Eucalyptus. So let me grab correct green. Need to make sure this is the correct green. I might have to start labeling these. I did use Lush Forest last on this one, so I'm going to do the same thing as I did with that one purple brush. I'm going to just give it a quick clean, or excuse me, the pink brush. I'm going to give it a quick clean to get any excess darker green out of the brush so that it doesn't mix or contaminate my Eucalyptus ink pad at all. All right, feel good about that now? All right, so let's start blending. Okay. Ooh, that's pretty. I am loving this eucalyptus color. I just think it's so pretty. I think it would look really lovely with evergreen as well, which is from our other set of original greens called Garden Stroll. I went the olive route. It was a big toss-up between evergreen and olive. I went the olive route, just hoping that there would be a little bit more green differentiation between them. We'll see. We'll see how it's going to work out here, friends. I'm not making any promises that it's going to be perfect, but I'm hoping it will at least look nice. Okay. Right. So a little bit more area to cover, so it takes a little bit longer to ink on this panel here, this stencil, I mean. So I'm blending a little deeper at the base. Ooh, I got a lot of ink in there. Oh well, it'll be okay, right? So I'm blending a little deeper at the base, trying to soften it out as I get to the outer edges of the greenery. All right, almost finished with the eucalyptus layer. Okay. All right, I think I feel good about that. So I think we're going to stop there. Put this lid on here so I don't dunk my hand in it. Let's go ahead and wipe this guy down. And let's take a look. All right. So our image is coming right along. I think we're going to stop at this next stencil. I don't think I'm going to fill out the background. But we'll see. I'll make that decision here after I finish this guy. Let me just get it nice and aligned here. And now is going to be the moment that I wondered about the most, and that's going to be finding out if olive plays nice with eucalyptus. We are going to find out here, aren't we? Grab the olive brush. Olive is the darkest, so I am just kind of getting this by tapping it out dry on this cloth, just getting out any excess ink that might have been in there. And let's see how olive plays with eucalyptus. I know eucalyptus is going to have a more muted feel, where olive is going to have a bit more of a green tone to it. I think that differentiation will be nice between the greenery that doesn't overlap each other. And then we'll just see the detail ones on the eucalyptus leaves. It may just add a nice little deeper tone of green in there. Thanks, Diane. All right, put these in here. Yep, and I think it's doing exactly what I thought it would do. Where it's overlapping the eucalyptus for those little detail pieces, it's just kind of deepening that green. So I don't know that it's even super noticeable that I used a green outside of the color family. We'll see once we take the stencil off and see the reveal. But I think they're going to look really lovely together in the areas where they are their own piece of greenery. There. Thanks, guys. Glad you're enjoying this. Oh, and yeah, Heather is saying we have, if you want more examples for the same product, we are real good about updating our product links with projects. So you should be able to find quite a few samples using really any product that you want additional inspiration for. Check out the actual link, and after the product image, you'll find quite a few sample images. Our website is always a great place to find inspiration for our products. All right, are we ready for this? I am going to make the suspense a little longer because I'm going to do a little cleanup real quick before we take the stencils off here. Okay, just going to move those back. Going to wipe my stencil down. Kathy, yes, all of our clear stamps are photopolymer, and then our red stamps are red rubber. So we offer both options. This depends on the display. Okay, are you guys ready? Let's take a look at how pretty that turned out. I am here for it. I think they look lovely next to each other. It's like you got a mix of greenery in here. And on top of the eucalyptus, I still think it looks really pretty. So I think this turned out super fun. So as I mentioned, there is one more stencil in this set. It's technically the first stencil. Ooh, I missed it. There it is. Which would allow me to color in that background if I wanted. I am going to skip this stencil today. I don't want to color in the background. I want to have that white space left. So I'm going to leave stencil 1, but as we mentioned, there are plenty of samples on the product link itself where this stencil was used. So if you're wanting more inspiration using that stencil that colors in the background, definitely check the product link on our website, which these are all linked below. So in the video description, so you can really quick easily find that link if needed. All right, so there we have it. I'm pretty thrilled with how this turned out. I'm going to go ahead and put this back into my stamping platform. I know this is the part where we all hold our breath. And I'm going to restamp it with just that same ink. I'm going to restamp it with Misty Coast just to get a nice crisp impression over top of all of that ink blending. That's a good idea, Diane. Just shading behind the peony. That's a great idea. Ooh, glitter paste on the background would be fun too. I'll have to try that one day. I don't have the time to allow that to dry today. That would definitely have to be a non-live video. All right. So this is where you all kind of hold your breath a little bit because hoping that I had everything all aligned properly. I'm holding my breath too, but let's see how it goes. And it's perfect. And it just makes that stamped image pronounced a little bit better after doing all of that ink blending. It kind of helps pop that image a little bit better. So I am super thrilled with how this turned out. I will clean off that stamp a little bit later. Let's go ahead and get our sentiment finished. You have to grab my other stamping platform, so give me 1 second. It'll be right back. Okay. So today, I think this still works. Yeah, that will look nice. I'm going to use a sentiment from our Heart Smiles stamp set. This is a sentiment stamp set that also has coordinating dies for the larger sentiments. These smaller ones, there's not dies for, because those you can just, trim into a thin strip or something. But these larger sentiments do. And I'm going to use the Lucky to Have a Friend Like You sentiment. I thought that this would just be a really beautiful card and to a good friend. So I think that is going to be the perfect sentiment for this. And I'm going to need to trim this down. I'll just cut a piece off with scissors. I'm not real worried about it being perfect. Won't be able to get away with it right there. Look at that. And this guy, I am going to heat emboss in white, but I think I'm going to use our new calico white pigment ink as the base. So let me get this prepped with some anti-static powder real quick. All right, and then I'm going to grab our calico white ink cube. And I am, you know what? I need to clean this stamp off a little bit. I just noticed, it feels like, oh goodness, I am so sorry. I totally just knocked my head into the camera. I noticed there was a little left behind black ink on this stamp that I don't really want to get into my ink cube. So give me a minute while I just clean this a little better. There we go. I think that is better. My little cocker spaniel is snoring. I don't think it comes through on Zoom, but it's making me chuckle. All right, I think this should be good. All right, so I have a feeling. Oh, yeah. This cube is very juicy. So, and I even pressed too hard immediately there. So let me try that again. Okay. Okay, we're going to have a real light touch because this ink cube is super juicy. I may need to remove some of the ink from this ink cube. Wow. I mean, I guess at least they didn't under. Give me a second, friends. That's just a lot of ink. There we go. I'm going to try this one more time. I just blotted off some ink off of this ink cube. Let me see if I can get better on this one. Yeah, it is super juicy. Let me see if I can do better. Okay. We're just gonna go with it. There we go. I do think I'm getting a little bit better detail now that I kind of blotted some of that ink out. I guess the good thing is that at least they didn't under ink the ink tube, right? Okay. Just gonna press nice and light. Oh, and that does stamp actually really lovely. So even though it seems like there was a whole lot on there, it still stamped really nice. Okay. I thought there was something stuck on the back of this. What is going on here? Oh, it's foam tape. I was like, why is that not even? Goodness. All right. I think I'm going to try to stamp it one more time. Okay. Oh, lovely. All right. So it still looks wet, and that's because it's pigmenting. And it's going to give me time to put some white embossing powder on it and heat set it. So let's go ahead, cover it in some embossing powder. Oh, yeah. Now that it has embossing powder on it, oh my goodness, that is going to be stunning. So I tested this pigmenting, but I don't think my test ink pads were nearly as saturated as the actual ones. So that kind of freaked me out a little bit. But that actually is great. All right, I'm going to heat set this, so Zoom will probably mute me. I'll be back in a minute. I love that for heat embossing a white sentiment. I think it is crisper. I think the impression was crisper. I think the white is even more opaque. This is definitely a new favorite. I agree with you, Heather. That is awesome for doing white embossed sentiments. Yeah, so pigment ink does not come on felt pads. This is definitely a foam pad. I don't know that pigment ink would work on a felt pad. So definitely a different pad. As you saw, they come well juiced, well inked, so you'll be good to go right as you get your new ink, your new calico white ink. But that is pretty darn awesome. I love how that turned out. I'm just waiting for this to set up, and then we will cut it out. So we are going to die cut our floral panel with our folk edge rectangle die set. So this cuts edge to edge of an A2 card. You'll see that it has these little cutouts. And what I love about that is I have a colored card base. And so a little bit of color will poke out through those elements. So mostly I am just eyeballing where this cuts. If it doesn't cut perfectly, it's not a huge deal to me. So we're just going to trim it. I think that looks about right. So let me grab this here. Okay, I feel like that looks pretty good. You know, the other thing I could do, actually, I might do that real quick. In order to make sure that this will be a little bit more perfect, I am actually going to trim the panel down. That might make more sense. So let's trim this panel. Let's find the edges. I'm going to use my wire guide trimmer, and then I know I'll have a more perfect trim on this guy. That. And then finally, and then I know that that won't be one of any type of alignment. Okay. Okay, this will probably be better. So get this guy lined up. This down here. Flip it over, and then we're going to make sure it's taped down so it won't move on us. Use that piece of tape. That should be good. Ooh, that didn't move. Great. I'm going to run this through my machine and I'll be right back with it. Right. And then look at that. Let me get these little things cleaned off here. Let's see here. It's a little whack and get all of those little pieces out. I'm sorry if that was loud, but I've just found that is the easiest, quickest way to get a lot of those little chads out of dies so that I don't have to poke them all out. And I'm going to have to poke some out of here, but like, look at how fun that border is on here. It'll look even cooler once I get all of the little chads finished poking out of it, which I will do here momentarily. But let's go ahead while we have our machine out. Let's go ahead and also cut out the sentiment real quick. You just have to find them. There we go. Matching die, which I think is this one because I just used it. Okay, now let's go ahead and get this guy cut out. It'll take a minute to just get it nice and lined up. Okay. We're good. Run this through and I'll be right back. Okay. And so now we have our pink sentiment all cut out. How lovely. Okay, gonna do just a little bit of cleanup here, friends, and then we will start to assemble our shirt. It'll be a pretty easy card assemble. We get some stuff out of the way, and I also need to grab our embellishment tool, and I just need to get those little pieces poked out. That stayed fine. Could have die cut this with a bubble mailer, and those pieces would have stayed behind, but I didn't really think it was necessary. They're not that hard to poke out. They don't take too long. And I really didn't need the extra pressure, honestly, on this die. It cuts beautifully. So I don't mind taking the little bit of time to poke those out. And with the ball tipped point on our poker tool there, it doesn't hurt if you accidentally get yourself. All right. So there is finding those little tiny inner pieces everywhere. So there is our panel. So what I'm going to do is I have this nice pink, and I'm going to adhere it onto the panel. And once it's adhered down, you just have it, and it won't show up very well on video, but I promise you, you just see it a little bit better in person. And that pink just kind of pokes out underneath the panel itself. And then we have our sentiment. I grabbed a couple additional layers of the sentiment, and I think I am going to layer these together. It's a little tip I learned from Amy from the stamp market. And I thought it would look really pretty on today's card, since the card itself in general is pretty simple. So the decision for me today is if I want to pop the panel up with foam or glue it directly down. I think I might glue it directly down just to keep with that whole feeling of it being a little bit more like a note card. I mean, it's not. It's got multiple layers to it. But I think I might stick with adding dimension to the sentiment and keeping the rest of it relatively thin. Oh, Kathy, the sentiment was already, it set real quick. So, I mean, it was set up and dry pretty much, right after I was finished heat setting it. Okay, I'm going to grab just some tape runner here, and that's how I will adhere down this background small. You could also just use liquid glue. So use anything you want for this adhering this section. Get a little glue. That's upside down. Hopefully that's not a big deal. A little bit of glue got in that kaboot area, but we should be fine. Right. Get this centered on my card base here. And then that little bit of pink pops right through, which I think is really fun. All right. So let's go ahead. And like I mentioned, I'm going to do this fun layer thing that I learned from Amy at the stamp market. Oh, Anna, let me see. This tape runner is from scrapbook.com. I think it's one of their exclusive tape runners. So it is pretty cute, isn't it? I didn't even really notice. It is kind of adorable. Oh, thanks, Melanie. I appreciate that. So I think what I'll do is I'll start and I'll just put some liquid glue. Oh, maybe. Come on, friend. There we go. Just maybe at the top of this so that I don't get glue doesn't seep everywhere. So we're going to start with the white layer. I'm just going to glue it a little off center. Let me make sure I like how this is going to look. And then a little off. Oh yeah, that's really fun. Okay. A couple more dollops of glue here. Got a bubble. All right. This is where we are probably going to need to grab a paperweight, also known as a clear stamp block, in order to let it have a little bit of time to adhere to the glitter cardstock. I always feel like that's a little bit harder to get to glue down. But I think that looks really fun. So let me do that. Quick, we'll stick it up here and do this. And hopefully that will help it set up a little bit. So while we're letting that set, I'm going to make a decision on jewels. So I've got, the amethyst. And then, so I pulled out the Twilight, but here's what I'm going to say. Don't think the pink in the Twilight matches that pink well enough. So I'm going to, I am not going to do Twilight. I'm going to do amethyst. And we're just going to put some amethyst glitter drops onto the middles of those multi-toned purple flowers. Goodness, Leah, making a mess over here. Oh, and by the way, I don't know if y'all noticed, but the brass triangle tray is back in stock. So it's on our website. It is in the link list below, but I know there's a lot of stuff in that list. So it's also under our studio essentials if you just go to our website. Just getting some of these flipped over. I know there's that technique where you can kind of shimmy, shake your tray back and forth, and that works on a lot of our jewel embellishments, but I think that the way that the glitter drops are shaped, it doesn't work on those. It actually kind of flips them over the wrong way. I just kind of take the time to flip a few over that I need when I'm doing this part. Okay. But I think that the amethyst are going to look really lovely with these dual toned flowers here. Oh yeah, nice and subtle. They're not too overpowering. Okay, a little bigger. There we go. Oh yeah, these are fun. I'm loving the way that the amethyst looks with these colors. I don't use the amethyst glitter drops very often, but I think I'm finding a new use for them with our new purples. Oh, there's the mid guy. There we go. Well, that is just lovely. Okay. I'm pretty happy with that, I think. You know what? I actually think I'm going to switch this guy to a small one. I think it will look a little bit better down there at the very bottom. Yeah, that's much better. Okay. Well, we will glue these down, and then I think that will have given that sentiment enough time for this to set up. And then we can get that guy popped up, a little bit of foam strips, and this card is complete. I can't have enough purple. It's interesting. I am not the biggest purple fan, but I do love Pinkfresh purples. So, oh yeah, I think that's going to be really fun. Okay, let's get a little bit of foam tape. These guys, I've got just some little extra pieces here left over. We'll grab that. This can probably go right there. And maybe just a little tiny one right there. That should be good, I think, right? Okay, that's great. Oh, thanks, friends. Sorry, I'm concentrating, trying to get these little release papers. If they're being a bit stubborn for me today, which I normally don't have an issue. There we go. As paperweight. Yeah, this is what I use clear blocks now for is paperweight. It's great for helping glue things down though. All right. I don't want to cover very much of that gorgeous pink peony, but that's like kind of the best place to put the sentiment. All right. Well, friends, that is our lovely ink blended note card for the day, for today's live. I hope you enjoyed watching it come together. I think it turned out really super fun. I'm loving the new inks all mixed together. So I hope you enjoyed getting to watch them being used together. I know we've been featuring them alone a lot. So I thought today would be a really lovely way to showcase using them all together. So Phyllis, this is actually not as previously released. I think it released last December. It's called Blooming Peony, and you can find the link to it in our video description below. All right, let me get the camera flipped around, and I will let you go for the day once we have a winner. All right, guys. Thanks so much for joining me today. Thank you. I appreciate your kind comments about today's card. Just making sure I didn't miss anything. I know I missed a ton of comments, but I'm sure Heather was really great about capturing questions and comments. It's a pretty labor-intensive card with the amount of ink blending, so I know that I didn't see as many of the comments today. Oh, Beth, we do have ombre glitter drops. I showed them, but I decided not to use them because I just didn't think the pink was real correct for this card. But we have ombre, which is kind of a mixture of colors in our glitter drops. All right, and it looks like we have a winner. Congratulations to Candy Welch. You are today's $15 gift card code winner. The way to claim your prize is send me an email. My email is leah@pinkfreshstudio.com. Please note there's no H on the end of my name, so it's just LEA, pinkfreshstudio.com. Give me about 2 to 3 business days to get back to you, and I will send over that $15 gift card code to you. So congratulations. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today. We do have a scrapbooking live this Thursday, I believe, with Natalie. So Thursday, same time, same place, 12 noon here on our YouTube channel, 90-minute scrapbooking live. I'm not sure what Natalie is using, but it is sure to be wonderful. And we hope that you'll join us. We give away a $15 gift card code in our scrapbooking lives too. So you can always enter for your chance to win one of those. Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it. As I mentioned, today's the last day of really hot temps, and then we do have service person coming on Thursday to let us know our fate, if our HVAC system is repairable or if it has to be replaced. So we will find out on Thursday. Have a great rest of your week. We hope that we will see you here on Thursday. And if not, we'll be back next Tuesday for our next card making live. Hi guys, have a great rest of your day.